We have Andy and Gigi on the call here tonight. I really appreciate both of your times. And you can find Andy at his Instagram page. So head over to Andy Buy Houses, and I'll make sure to have that link direct in the show notes. So if you're on your podcasting app, again, swipe right and you can find that information in the show notes. But really appreciate your time here tonight as we talk about some creative ways that you're financing some of this new construction.
Appreciate it. Appreciate being here.
Thank you for having
So,
me.
yeah, you bet. So, I'm always curious, like, how did this partnership start out?
I first met Gigi because I had just did a churro. I had bought a bunch of cars and did a churro, and I got tired of doing it. So I needed all the inquiries took off my credit report. He was the credit person. So I contacted Gigi that we're in a group called RPX. And I had to take off my little 14 inquiries. And, but what happened after that? But we just started hanging. We just started being tight.
Oh, okay. It's amazing how people make these connections. It's always insightful. So, Andy, you're building construction houses, new construction, correct?
Yes.
And you're doing it in a very creative way. Can you start a little bit? Tell us a little bit about your background regarding this home construction and how you got into building and just in general.
And the first started out doing wholesaling. I was wholesaling and the market crashed around about, not after when it crashed, but right after, around like 12, 13. And then I just decided I needed somebody that looked at the block. He had some property, he had 10 properties. And I was like, dang, if he could get some properties, I know I could get some. So that what motivated me to even get into real estate. So I bought my first couple of properties. And then I just sat on them for renting them out. And then I decided I start fixing flipping. So I started doing fix and flip. And that started slowing down. So a lot of the ones I couldn't sell in time. I just closed on them, put a little makeup on it, and just resell it to another investor, make it look like you don't have too much work to do. Then after that slowed down, and then it was spread. The spread wasn't really there no more. Like 2020, that's when I started building. Dropped my first one. It took me like 3-4 months to really jump off the porch with it because I was scared, nervous, didn't know nobody, didn't know no workers, didn't know nothing about it. But I just did it anyway. That it like 11 months to finish that first project.
Sure. So, Gigi, how did you get involved in this then? It sounds like you helped Andy remove some information off of his credit report. What made you think that this was a good idea to jump in and start doing this? Frankly, I think all of us have to be a little crazy doing this, don't we?
Yes, Jack. Listen, so like he mentioned, he contacted me earlier last year to remove some inquiries, right? So I'm in Georgia right now, and I met him in Atlanta. He said, how about you do this for me? Like, I can pay you this or the other, right? I said, Andy, I don't work for anybody. No, I'm not doing it, right? Fast forward months later, I don't know how I ended in this position. And now we both work together. And what I do is I helped his people with the credit aspect. I help them get the higher credit score, get the high credit limits on the credit cards, the business side of the house where we set up the businesses and then do the business funding. So we're prepping them to be able to get the funding they need in order to jump into the new construction.
This is especially interesting. Now we're starting to get into the funding aspect of this. But a lot of people, Andy, you can probably tell me if you're comfortable talking about it or not. Most people actually, when they get into real estate investing of any kind, frankly, we just don't have the money. We're looking for ways to get into real estate investing. And you already mentioned it, wholesaling is typically that low-hanging fruit. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you start out, but that's where people typically start. So in the end, we all need some sort of money in order to get things going. So you went down the credit card route?
Yeah, like I got a background, so I couldn't get funding from no banks. So I just came up with the way of it's easy to get credit cards. So why not get the credit card? We just take the money off the credit cards. That's just like getting money from a bank. We just got it off from our limit credit. Up in the business, using a personal as a guarantor on it, and just made it work that way. And that's
So the credit cards that you're getting are like personal credit cards, or are they business credit cards?
their business.
Oh, okay. So in Gigi, you knew the landscape of how to accomplish this and get these credit cards?
I do because I do credit repair. I do credit repair, Jax. I know where to go, what bank to go to, like how to basically set the application up to where you're going to be able to get high limit credit cards.
Sure.
And then, so as we're getting these credit cards, even let's say, even if they start off with the personal side, going through Andy's boot camp, we show them how to transfer the debt from the personal side of the house to the business side. So essentially, the credit score doesn't get affected.
Okay. So when somebody approaches you and gets some help, kind of getting the package deal here, where Andy's helping them with the construction aspect, and you're helping getting their business and their credit lined up. Does that
Right.
sound right?
Right.
Okay.
And a lot of the clients that we have or that I have are from Andy. Others they do come in from different areas, but then I talk to them about what Andy's got going on with the real estate, and then they're interested. So now they start like looking into the boot camp or the building from the house up ground up.
Okay. Can you start to describe the process? Like, I'm sure a lot of people are interested in this. Like, how do they know that this might be a good fit? Let's start there.
Just for anybody that I know a lot of people that have credit cards. A lot of people get high scores and they be scared to use their credit because they don't got their score up so high. But what we're doing, we're teaching you how to leverage that credit. Credit good is to put it to use. And then you got to find something that's not too risky to put it to use. You don't want to use it spending on something that ain't making you no money. So we teaching them how to build the houses with it so they can 10x off it. We have a book piece June 11th and 12th. And the one in September, we teach them I have the architects, the engineers, I have the block guys, I have hard money lenders, I have everybody there. And then the credit, Gigi's going to be there teaching them the credit. I'm going to be there teaching them the step-by-step process of building a house. Then we have all the subcontractors and the architects, they're speaking to them. And then on that second day, we take them out to the properties that we have going on. We got 5 projects going on now. We take them to those, show them the different stages they're in, how we got there, and what's next coming up after that. But basically, they trying to show them what to do with them credit cards they get stuck with. So basically, we teach them money off the cards and just start investing with it.
Sure. You got 5 projects going at once, and you're doing this all with credit card. And you've now accomplished this. How much, if you don't mind me asking, how much credit have you accumulated through these credit cards over the past? Gigi, did you say it was like over the past year and a half or 2 years?
We met last, I don't even know how long we've known each other for. But so what you're breaking out, Andy, the what?
About a year. Should it be about a year?
About a year. What he does, he starts off with using the credit cards. And then at a certain point, you jump into the hard money lenders, Andy.
Oh, sure.
Credit card. We just go to the foundation or the walls of the house. And then we switch and go to hard money from there, pay off the credit cards. Then we use the rest of the hard money to finish the project. Then at the end, we either refi, make the 100K profit.
Yeah. So you mentioned that early before we even hit record. You're talking about you try to make 100,000 per property, and if you go to the YouTube channel, you're going to see Andy just completely decked out with the 100K play from head to toe. So the concept is that he makes 100 grand per property that they build, which is this possible? Do you think this is possible across the country, or is it just like you said, you're in Florida? I joke that my neck of the woods, I'm not sure if that number is possible, but you could prove me otherwise.
Yes, it works everywhere. I teach people how to do it in other states. Like basically, we just go off the numbers. What we do, it's like a numbers game. Okay, we know we building at like $100 a square foot, so we're gonna build 1,500 square foot houses. So that's gonna cost us 150,000. And what we look for an area to where the house is gonna sell 300 or more. So in that area, we're looking for a lot. Basically, you gotta buy the lot for less than third or fourth of what the ARV is. So if we build on it for 200, then 300 profit. So 200, the house is down here selling for 375, 400. So we really in 175, but we just sell 100 just to be lean. So that's the minimum. But if you
So you probably have gone through quite a bit of business setup, and if you're already training people on how to do this, there's probably a lot of processes and procedures where we have playbooks associated with some of our fix and flips
Right.
where we just hand over the playbook. Every house gets the same paint. It's all got the same cabinets, and everybody's on the same page. We all know what we're going to do. We just reuse the same stuff over and over again. Is there some benefit? Do you do that? And is there some benefit associated with volume pricing? And
Yeah, I do that all the time. My 100 square foot, I do it everywhere. In some areas, I may do the same thing, just may add a 2-car garage, but the inside, the house gonna be the same. That'll be the only difference depending on the area that I'm putting it in. If we got garages over there, the garage. But other than that, it's gonna be the rec 3-2, no garage. And we do the same house, colors, and the skin, everything the same. That way, something mess up on the paint or something, you ain't gotta try to figure out what paint you use. You already know what to use because everything is the same.
sure. So how much of this work are you doing yourself versus contracting it out?
What we do is we work on a general contractor's license. We pay him to let us work under his license, and we sub out all the work. So you find subs to do all the work, but not the same sub to do everything. We found a sub for electrical, one for plumbing, one for HVAC. Got one person doing the job and trying to charge you a lot to do something when they're paying the person way less than what you paying them.
Sure.
Not-
So what do you do how do you manage these projects? Do you use any particular software, an Excel spreadsheet? Because I find that sometimes that all of those contractors, their schedules are fluctuating, and next thing you know, it's taken me twice as long to get something done.
we keep at least three of each. That way, because when some be busy, we got to go to the next one. We can't wait on them to have time for us. We got to keep moving. They're going to hold up our process. So
Sure.
everything, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, we got the whole team. So
Okay.
moving. When one project finishes, we try to keep something closing like every 3 months to
Okay.
where done every month. That way, the ball keep rolling instead of trying to have everything at one point, at the same stage at one time, being frustrated.
Sure. So it sounds like you really have your systems in place. If somebody is looking to do this in their backyard, would you suggest that they look for empty lots in specific parts of town, like established areas of town, or are you building in like on the outskirts of town where you see growth?
It depends on the city that you're in. If you're in a hot city, that's where everything is expensive, you don't want to be in the city. You want to be on the outskirts. But if I don't know how your city is up there. I don't know if y'all hot or if y'all on the outskirts to get stuff or it's expensive. If the city not expensive, you can do it in the city. Because a lot of people still, for houses already up, a lot of people not looking for land. So the land used to be cheap sometimes in some places. But down here, all the houses gone, so everybody looking for land to build. So totally opposite. So different areas be different. But if your area where you at, city not too hot to where land's still available for not too high, the perfect spot to do it. But if it's too high area, then you gotta take it to the outskirts to where they coming to next.
Okay. Gigi, let's get back to the credit a little bit. Like you and Andy, are you partners in the business, or is this just a networking situation?
It's like a networking situation. So I do the credit and the business side, and then he does the real estate. So we're essentially like working together.
Sure. So any kind of partnership, whether it's in this scenario or actual business partnership, you have to have uncomfortable conversations at first, or you'll eventually have to have an uncomfortable conversation. What was the discussion, and how did you guys form to coexist like this?
Andy, when I first started doing his credit report, I guess he was getting a lot of people that were inquiring about credit, right? He asked me like, "What else do you do?" And then I told him what I did. He said, "I have a lot of people that need credit repair. Can I shoot them over to you?" So he started giving my number out, right? So then after, I want to say maybe after a month or two, he said, "Hey, I'm going to do a boot camp. You want to come and talk?" So this was out of nowhere, right? So then I went to his boot camp and I started talking or spoke about the financial aspect. And moving forward, now he's doing more boot camps throughout the year. So now the way that we're doing it as far as like the people that he brings on board is if they do need credit repair, he'll pay me for the credit repair. That way he doesn't charge his clients. So everything. So if they pay for the boot camp, that's just a one flat fee for his people. And then he takes care of me on the back end.
So what's on average, if somebody goes through your credit repair, how long does it typically?
Jack, I shoot for 2 weeks, and that's if there's no hiccups with the bureaus, right? And I say no hiccups because 3 weeks ago, one of the sites that we used to send dispute letters to the bureaus was taken down. So it was taken down for a week, and then they brought it back up, and then it was glitchy. So then essentially it was down for a whole week and a half, and that put us behind a whole 2 weeks, right? But we're getting results, like the majority of the accounts removed within 2 weeks. And I seen everything cleared in 2 months. I just got off the phone with one of my clients today. He was so happy. He said, "You just wiped out $300,000 of debt from my credit report in 2 months."
Huh. I'm really surprised that it's that quick. 2 weeks. That doesn't sound doable. Almost too good to be true. I gotta be blunt.
The thing is about the credit bureaus, Jack, is that the credit bureaus are not federally regulated. After the government saw what the bureaus were doing, they set the FCRA in place. So we have to use the FCRA to our advantage. And as consumers, that's what we need to use in order to hold the bureaus accountable for whatever it is that they're doing. Essentially, the accounts that are on the report should have our permission to be on the report. So that's one of the laws that I use in order to get the accounts removed. If they're in a negative status, that's one of the laws that I use in order to get the accounts removed from the bureau, from the credit reports.
So what you said FCRA, what does that stand for?
The federal, I'm telling you right now. I'm sorry, I should know it by heart, but I know the acronym.
No, that's cool. We have a lot of newer real estate investors that listen to the show, and when they hear an acronym that's new, we got to figure it out quick. So
The Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Oh, okay.
So that's what everybody as consumers should use to basically hold the bureaus accountable for the information that they have on the reports. As an example, Jack, Cs are not reported by the courthouses. So even though they populate on our reports, they shouldn't be on the credit reports. What the bureaus do is that there's one central website that all the bankruptcies are housed in. So what the bureaus do is they go into this website and they get that information from the website, and then they extract it and put it in our reports. So essentially what they're doing is they're going out fishing for the information that nobody is giving them to populate.
And then because of the FCRA, they're not technically supposed to use it?
They're not supposed to. The only information they're supposed to populate on the report is information that we agreed to be on the report and information that is being sent to them. So in this case, the bankruptcies, nobody is giving the bureaus that information. They're going out and getting that information themselves.
That's really interesting. So they're obligated to remove it if it's discovered.
Yes, sir. And the way that we get them to remove it, though, is I have to contact the courthouse. And when it's bankruptcies, child support, it does take a little bit longer because I have to deal with the courthouse. But what I do is I contact the courthouse and I basically ask them like, hey, let's say it's me that I have the bankruptcy. I pull my report and then I see that there's a bankruptcy in my report. Can you give me the information that you provided to Equifax or whomever, right? They'll come back and tell me, we don't give information out to anybody. Like we didn't give the information to the bureaus. So then when I ask Equifax or one of the bureaus to verify the information, they'll tell me that they verified the information with the courthouse. We just got a letter from the courthouse saying that they don't give the information out to the bureaus. So either when the courthouse is lying or the bureau is lying, and it's obvious the bureau is lying because they're in the business of making money out of us.
Yeah, that's completely new information on this show. That's quite the tidbit. Give us an example of a situation that you turned somebody around. What could somebody expect? What kind of credit? Everybody knows the FICO score. What kind of number change have you been able to accomplish?
I've gotten people from the mid 5s to they're pushing 800s, mid 700s right now. And it's all within 2 weeks. And The beauty of it, Jack, is that I have receipts. They can go to my website, to my IG, and they can see the scores there.
You better give that URL so that people can go check that out. Where do they go?
They can go to my Instagram. So it's Miss C Notes, and it's MSCNOTES.
Okay, we'll make sure to put that in the show notes. Well,
Yes, sir. Yes, that's one of the things is we have to be able to take control of our credit report and not like we all go through rough patches, right? So for that rough patch to continue to hinder us from leveraging our credit to get into like what Andy's doing in real estate or just like being able to apply for credit cards, it's just insane when a lot of us don't get educated on it until we're in the midst of trying to apply for something.
sure.
So
Well, let's talk through an example if you guys don't mind. And Gigi, you can start things off and then you'll hand it over to Andy. And Andy, if you wouldn't mind, maybe try to get a little closer to your microphone. Maybe that would help with you've been cutting out just a little bit. But Gigi, could you give us an example of somebody you helped and then what difference it made and then where Andy picked the ball up and helped them with their first construction? Give us an example of how this.
there's been a couple of them, but one of the most recent that just comes to my mind is Eddie. I think he's 19 or 20 years old, right? He went through Andy's boot camp in March within 3 weeks. So I basically give these people, the lenders to apply to, and then how to basically set their application up, right? Whenever they're applying to these credit cards or loans. Within 3 weeks, he was able to get $250,000 in funding. I'm not sure what process he's in right now as far as real estate goes, but he was able to start like a tour business and like other things that he has going on. But
I got to stop you right there. He's 18, 19 years old. The likelihood of him having any personal credit is slim to none. How did you get him any kind of background enough in order to accumulate $250,000?
see, that's the thing about the credit. We just need to there's different lenders, and lenders don't look at your age. They look at how your credit report is set up. And that's what they go based off of, right? So let's say, as an example, let's say that Eddie didn't have any background, any credit history, right? We could easily add authorized users to add age to his credit report, which makes him seem that he's been using credit for longer than he really has. And
So
then
authorized users, what do you mean by that? This is like some sort of magic you got going on here. I have to give you a heads up because I was in the banking industry for a number of years doing business credit card underwriting. So an 18-year-old coming in looking for a business credit card, there's just no possibility. I don't know how you're pulling this off.
let's say that he's an authorized user. I'm going to say he has a 15-year Citizens credit card bank, right? Because Citizens Bank, they offer both personal and business, right? So I am 19 years old. I have no history, right? But he has a 15-year-old card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Andy to add me to that 15-year-old card as an authorized user. So once he does that, he's going to take my social, my driver's license, and he's going to go ahead and add me as an authorized user for that card.
Oh,
Yeah, it gives me the right to go and go to the mall and use $15,000 worth of, or however much money he has on his card. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just take the age and the limit, and that's going to go ahead and transfer to my credit report. So now that gives me years of credit history.
Okay. Now I'm
So-
following you.
That's how we manipulate the credit report.
Boy, you are manipulating the credit report. So, Andy, how are you helping Eddie now to build this first property?
Eddie's kind of all over the place. He don't know if he want a duplex, live on one. He want kind of jump the gun and go straight into multifamily. He 18, but think he 38. So everybody kind of start with a 4 when to rent out the rest like everybody else. But I'm trying to show him that you start somewhere in the start. What we doing is we doing building. Like building is gonna be way cheaper to build something than it is to try to buy something. But you still
Yeah, no, you cut out there again, Andy. But that is a pretty popular strategy, buying or building a fourplex, because you can actually still qualify as a new home buyer too at that point, where you can live in one unit and rent out the others.
yeah, hard to find here. It's hard to find one here, a fourplex. A fourplex gonna cost you anywhere from about at least 700,000-800,000 here.
Oh, sure. So is Eddie or most of your students in your backyard there in Florida as well?
So I have some Carolina.
You're breaking out, Andy.
Got one in Carolina. Jason, he's in Philly. Well, Jason in Philly.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all over the place. And for the most part, they've found you through Instagram. Is that your primary marketing?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't understand how you guys pull this stuff off. Like Instagram, maybe it's just I'm on the verge. I'm a Gen Xer. I just still don't get it. I have an Instagram account and I do have a few people that follow me there, but how you make this your primary source of leads and contacts is beyond me. I don't get it. Tell me how to do this. And
Yeah, Andy.
You gotta run ads. And then when you run ads, you just gotta have stuff on your page that people want to hear. You gotta relate to people.
they see an old bearded bald guy on my Instagram page. I don't think there's a lot of interest there.
Put them up. They see house building. All you build is houses. So it's like it's relatable. It's like what a lot of people want to do. Everybody
Yeah.
wants anybody. So if you see somebody doing it, now you want to listen. You gonna listen. Making the whole get them to page. Once they see the page, they gonna see the vision.
Yeah, you're a step ahead of me when it comes to the social networking. I've had some luck with Facebook and Twitter because when we do a lot of fix and flipping, we buy a lot of houses, and then the before and after photos gets a lot of attention. People like seeing the transformations, especially when you're dealing with hoarder houses.
Yeah.
Your best advertising site. You say YouTube or which one do you think is your best?
I didn't catch what was the primary question there, Andy.
Best site to get the most people for you? Is it YouTube or is it?
It's been for our core business. It's been Facebook. If it's the podcast, it's been Twitter for me. I'm actually surprised how many people join me there. And there's a lot of interaction and chatting going on amongst us on Twitter. And that's grown over the past year for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I just never would have guessed that Twitter would have been the place that I'd have the most interaction, but that's the place for me.
Andy's the one that got me onto social media too, because like I'm a Marine veteran and in the military, at least in the military, for me, they're telling us all about security. Don't do this, don't do that. Basically stay in your little eggshell and don't attract attention.
That's one of the reasons I have been scared to death of TikTok. I have a TikTok account, but like, you know, with all the security concerns and who frankly owns it, it makes me nervous, but I have been posting a few things there too now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so Andy's the one like, hey, you need to start putting receipts out there and basically do social media, right? So I'm still trying to like get used to it, but because I know I don't like it, it goes against my grain. I hire somebody to do it for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, take care of.
There's something to be said for that, Gigi. First of all, thank you so much for your service. But secondly, what you're talking about hiring somebody, why not do that more often? And I frankly find it that if you're miserable at doing something, you're going to procrastinate at it and it's never going to get done or it's too late. So
Exactly.
why not leverage somebody else's time?
Yeah.
This has been an interesting conversation. I hope everybody checks both of your Instagram pages out. I'm going to make sure to have those links in the show notes. Again, it's Andy Buy Houses and MSC Notes, right? Did I get that right, Gigi?
Yes.
I'll make sure to have those links in the show notes. Before I let you both go, though, is there a question or concept you wished we would have covered here tonight?
No, I think we covered, as far as I feel, like I think we covered everything.
How about you, Andy?
Had everything going. Yes.
Where do I get one of the t-shirts or hats?
Yes, I seen you in.
Okay. I appreciate it, guys. This was great. And again, you're welcome back. I hope you'll take me up on that. I'd like to check in on one of your projects sometime, Andy, just to kind of walk through the process and maybe even through some numbers, because I think a lot of people would learn from that. But again, it's Andy Buy Houses and MS Notes on Instagram, and I'll make sure to have those links in the show notes, but we'll see you next time.
All right, take care.